Nellie Lutcher grew up in Lake Charles,
Lake
Louisiana.
Right.
Good God.
Right.
Grew up there and left. What age did you leave?
Oh, I was about 20.
Really? That late?
Yeah, when I left.
I understand you used to play in church and all that.
Yes, I did. As a matter of fact, the first money I ever earned, I earned it in church.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Playing the piano?
Yes.
Not singing, though? Or was it
No,
singing?
no. Singing didn't start until I came to California.
It didn't. Tell me about Nellie Lutcher. You were in a band also, playing in the bands and
Yes,
stuff?
my dad was a musician, a bass player, and when there came a vacancy in the orchestra for a pianist,
Right.
They asked him if he thought I could handle it, and he said yes, and of course my mother said no.
Uh-huh.
No. And so as...
Was your mother real strict?
Well, I wouldn't say she was overly strict, but see, coming from the South and Baptist, being in the Baptist church
Right.
and all like that, so they had a different view on what, of course, people would have today, all that type of thing. So she was opposed to it, but my father won over. So
What was the band you played? What kind of music was
it was what they called, well, it wasn't really, it was something like
it?
Dixieland.
Dixieland, I bet. Yeah,
right.
it was. Dixieland.
Yeah.
How long were you with that band? A few years? Or what?
Well, I was with them for, I guess maybe about 5 years, 4 or 5 years, something like that.
How did Nellie Lutcher arrive to California? You came here, and boy, you took this town for a storm, Nellie Lutcher.
Well,
The Dunbar Hotel. Come
yes,
on.
my first job.
First job? Here in
My
LA.
first job was at the Dunbar, and in Los Angeles was at the Dunbar Hotel, and I wasn't singing.
Playing the piano.
I was only playing the piano.
You were the only performer ever appeared there.
Right on.
It was strictly for black hotel for entertainers, like Lena Horne couldn't get a room at the
Well,
Beverly Hills Hotel.
Yes, Louis Armstrong and many of these great sports, and they came here, sports people, they couldn't.
Was it tough back those days,
Well,
Nellie?
it was a little rough.
Was it?
It was a little rough.
Tell me about the day you started at the piano in this Dunbar Hotel.
Well, when I first came to the Dunbar, I had an aunt out here, and my cousin, who was her son, used to frequent this place.
Right.
So he was telling them about his cousin coming to California. So she plays the piano. So they asked her, well, does she sing? He said, no, she doesn't sing, but she plays the piano. So he said, well, bring her around. So when I came to town, sure enough, he brought me around, and I played for them, and I got the job right away. So it wasn't when I started performing, I was performing 6 nights a week from 8 till 2 and getting $2 a night. And
$2 a night?
$2 a night.
And tips?
And the kitty.
Kitty?
They would get the glass and sit the glass on the piano so they could put the money in it. But they kept asking me to sing, and I kept saying, I don't sing. They said, well, we want to hear you sing. We like your voice, and we want to hear you sing. We love your piano playing. We want to. And I kept begging. They said, well, can't you just sing one song? So I don't even remember what the song was.
You don't remember?
I don't remember what the song was, but whatever it was, I did it. And they liked it. They said, well, we want you to sing. We want to hear you sing more.
So you got more.
So that started it. So I credit the public with making me sing.
Nellie, when you played the piano, you have a habit of moving a lot. You just don't even sit down. I mean, tell me about Nellie
I
Lutcher's.
sit.
I know you sit, but Nellie, tell me about your expressions on that piano.
Well, I play what I feel.
Is that how you feel?
Oh, yes. I love the piano, article number 1.
Right.
I love it. And when I'm playing, I'm concentrating on every note I play. Every whatever phrase or whatever you want to call it. I'm just concentrating on that one thing.
Who are some of the people that used to come to see you after you really got into that hotel, the Dunbar? Like,
well, really.
Because you made a name there, and you really.
Well, I was, as I said, I was there just about 6 weeks, I suppose. That's as long as they ran the entertainment.
Right.
So they cut it out after that because they found out they didn't even have to have it after I left. Because they had, people would just come there anyway.
Louis Armstrong, all the big stars.
All the big, and the great fighters, sports people would come there. So it was quite a spot in town for the people in show business and people that liked that kind of life.
Nellie, but from there, you recorded a song.
Well,
how did
that
Capitol
happened-
Records, what happened? How did Capitol Records get a hold of
Well-
Nellie Lutcher? I mean, come on, Nellie.
Well, I tell you what, after 12 years, because I was here 12 years before this happened.
Right.
But I was at the March of Dimes benefit show.
Right.
And how I got that, my little son was in school in the neighborhood, and the teacher said, tell your parents about the March of Dimes show and ask all of them to come to the Hollywood High School and bring some money. So I said, he told me about it, and then he said, Mama, why don't you perform? Because they were talking about people performing, and one of the performers that was performing then, and the biggest all outdoors, was Bob Hope.
Bob Hope was the only performer, the biggest.
He was one of the biggest.
Right.
And anyway, I said, well, he said, Mama, why aren't you going to perform on the show? I said, well, they don't know anything about me. He said, yes, but Mama, you're as good as they are. I said, that isn't it. They just don't know me. They know the people that are well known or the people that's going to be on the show. So he said, but I sure wish you would, I wish you would try to get on that show. I'd like to see you. They were naming the people. That's what made him say this. Frank Bull, who was a great sportsman here in California, was the one announcing it on his show. And he would tell who was going to be on the show. So my son said, well, he said, Mama, I sure would. And my aunt, who was my son's great aunt, said, I think it would be wonderful if you would maybe call the station, send them a telegram and tell them that you'd like to appear on the show. That would make your son happy. I said, well, I think I will. So I did send a telegram, and Frank Bill got the telegram and read it. And he said, here's some gal named Nellie Lutcher.
Nellie Lutcher? Go ahead.
He said, some gal named Nellie Lutcher, and she wants to be on our show. He said, well, I don't know Nellie Lutcher. I never heard of her. And he said, but I think that's nice of her to want to appear on our show and help us, because we're trying to raise some money for the cause.
Right.
And so he said, well, we'd love to have her come, so we'll put her name down. So they did. It started from there. So sure enough, as the show went on, it was scheduled that each person, each jockey, disc jockey, would do 1 hour. And when it came his time, Frank Bull's time, he was the guy that introduced me. And he said to me, he said, now, we're not going to have time to do but one song. And he said, what do you want to do? He said, the program is running long. So I did the song, The One I Love Belongs to Somebody Else. That was the song I did. And it all started from that, and it so happened that Dave Dexter, who was the
Capitol Records.
Oh, yes.
Capitol Records.
The big guy.
Big guy.
Capitol Records, and he was home. His wife was expecting a child at the time. And they were listening to the program, and it started from there.
Nellie Lutcher, you're sitting there telling me that your son pushed you into this.
Yeah.
You know something? Your son is responsible for Nellie Lutcher, for the public to know about Nellie Lutcher. If it wasn't for your son, who knows what happened, huh, Nellie?
Well, that's right. That's
it's
true.
just the truth.
Yeah,
See?
That's true.
Capitol Records signed you up. First song. What was the big hit?
The big hit was Hurry On Down.
Hurry On Down, honey. I love that song. How did that start? Give me a little.
Hurry on down to my house, baby. There ain't nobody on but me.
That was a big seller. Good.
Well, it was my first record. It was my first record session, really. And my first record, Hurry On Down.
Hurry On Down.
And on the other side was The Ladies in Love with You, which was a wonderful Frank Lesser tune. You know, and Barney Josephson, of course, played a great part in that. In that he and Frank Lesser were very, very good friends. So when he heard the record was released in New York first. And when he heard the record in New York, he said, I got to get this gal to come to New York. So he got busy, and he found out that Dave Dexter was the guy responsible, you know, for me getting on Capitol. So it all started from that, and so sure enough, I played New York that fall for the first time. For Barney Josephson at Cafe Society.
Society.
That was it. That was the
How did Nellie Lutcher got accepted in Cafe Society? I mean, the greatest people in the
listen,
audience.
I'll never forget it.
Tell me.
It was absolutely something way beyond anything I expected. Any recognition. I just didn't.
Who were in the audience at the Cafe Society for seeing Nellie Lutcher? Come on, Nellie.
Well, the record had been promoted highly, for about, well, say about 5 or 6 months before I got there, see.
Right.
Of course, that doesn't happen too much today, you know, when a record
What
comes.
do you mean by that?
Well, it's not the
They don't
promotion isn't that long.
that
no,
long,
no.
yeah.
It isn't. It doesn't take that long. They got too many other people.
Right, right.
The competition is so great now.
Right.
But at that particular time, there weren't that many
Yeah.
artists as they are today. See, so.
Don't we have too many today? Come on,
No,
Nellie.
I don't think there are too many. No.
No?
And I don't think there are too many. It was variety, as they say, is the spice of life.
Uh-huh.
But there are so many different styles that have come about since.
Right.
Since.
Okay, let's get back to Cafe Society and the audiences. Who were some of the names?
Audience. Oh,
That night.
Right now I can't
Yeah,
even
that's
think.
okay.
But there were notables. There were people from even Los Angeles, because this was about the same time that the ball game came on. What do you call, you know, the annual ball game. I can't even think of it.
The pennants and all that.
Yeah,
right.
they were there for that. Leon Rene, who is deceased now, he was a big songwriter, and so many other people. I can't even think.
Favorite club in New York? The Village? The Village?
It was in the Village.
It was in the Village?
The Cafe Society
Cafe
was in
Society
the Village.
in the Village. But
Greenwich
the
Village.
The Greenwich Village. But the other one you did in the Village. What was the other one? You worked the Village a lot, didn't you?
The Village, this is the only
This is
club
the
in
only
the
one
Village.
you did
This is
in
the
the
only one
Village?
in the Village. Now, later, in later
Village
years.
Vanguard?
But
Didn't
I
you do?
never worked there.
You
But
never worked at Vanguard?
No, it was
Right.
right across from Cafe Society.
Cafe Society. I see.
Later, I worked, the same gentleman, Barney Josephson, opened the cookery. But that's in a different section. That wasn't in the Village. But the only place I worked in the Village was the Cafe Society.
Nellie, when your song came out, I mean, when they heard it first, I mean, it was a very unusual, you know, Nellie Lutcher, you know, and I heard it, what is that lady doing?
Were you in New York at the time?
Yeah.
You were in New York?
I was in New York. I just heard that lady singing. I couldn't believe what that voice was. It was so. What was the second song? Big hit.
The second
big
hit. You
Yeah,
mean
big,
the second
big,
hit?
big hit.
The second hit was He's a Real Gone
Guy. And that really stuck with you, though.
Yes.
That stuck with you. He's a real gone guy. Everyone loves that song.
That was my second, it was my second record, second release, and it was a hit. So fortunately, I had 2 hits in a row, and they were both originals.
Princess Di in London, England. Princess Di has parties. And I understand she plays all your songs, and they dance to it, and they sing to it. That fine brown
Fine Brown Frame.
theme, they love that song. That's Princess Di's favorite song.
Well, I heard that.
Did you hear that?
Yeah,
I heard this. They all dance to your music and
heard.
sing and carry on. How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm thrilled. I'm absolutely thrilled to hear that.
And you're a big hit in England. You work England a lot, do you?
Well, I was there twice in 1 year.
Twice in 1 year
Yes,
is good.
Twice in 1 year, and I was just absolutely elated over the response because I didn't have any idea that they were that familiar with my work.
And not only that, you're sitting there telling me they're familiar with you in Australia. Even when I was in Sydney, Australia, I was working there, 1971. Nellie Lutcher, I heard your records all over the place. You work Australia.
I
don't you?
haven't. No, I haven't worked.
You haven't worked Australia?
No.
Alan Eichler has not put you to Australia yet? Good
No,
God.
but there's an album. There was an album out. It was
Right.
released in Australia.
In Australia. They love you there, because I was there. I remember hearing your music. Tell me about the Roosevelt Hotel. You're going to open at the Roosevelt, the Center Grill.
Yes.
Nellie Lutcher, you worked there a lot.
I have worked there several times. Oh, I guess 7 or 8 times.
8 times,
It's
really?
a lovely room. I love it. It's right in the heart of Hollywood.
Hollywood, not downtown Hollywood, okay.
And that Center Grill is it's an old spot because they tell me that was before I suppose I came to California that this is where all of the stars and
the Academy, first Academy Award was.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, right.
That's right. So it's a landmark really, and it's a lovely hotel, and I have had the pleasure of working there, as I say, several times. So I am going in next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday?
October 6th.
You'll be there for how many days?
For 5 days.
5 days.
And
Nellie
it's a
Lutcher's going to
sort
be back in town for 5 days. The real gone gals coming back, right? I love it, Nellie. What
Yeah.
kind of songs you're going to be doing? You'll be doing all your old stuff?
I'm going to do some of the old. This is what the people know because I have not recorded anything recently.
Of course.
And they know the old song. They know the things, and they're still asking for them, and they want to hear them. So I have an awful lot of tunes, records that have never been really released.
Last time you were at the Cine Girl, I heard that Lily Tomlin comes.
Yes,
I
she
hear
was-
that Elton John comes.
Elton John.
Tell me
that was a wonderful experience. Elton John was brought there by friends.
Right.
And he did not know that, because I think he probably had just come to town, and he did not know that I was there.
He didn't know that you were
He
gonna
did not know.
Right.
And so they brought him there and surprised. And when he got there and they brought him in and he found out I was there, well, it was absolutely just the most magnificent, wonderful experience. And so when he got a chance to, they told me he was there and I introduced him.
Right.
And he came up to the bandstand and he had to say on the microphone that I impressed him with my work. He heard my
Right.
records when he was just a kid.
Right.
And he said his parents had my records. And he loved the records, so that was inspired him to do what
it?
he's doing today.
Really?
That's what he said.
Nellie Lutcher inspired this young man. But I heard he got up and sang, too.
He sang a song and dedicated it to me.
Oh, no.
And I let him, he played and sang
Give him the
it.
stage, huh?
Yes,
That was great,
it was
Nellie.
wonderful.
You
I
sit
was
there,
just-
you play the piano and sit and play, just like Elton John does.
Yes.
Same thing. But you still boo that movement, though, Nellie. You still got. I understand you're going to celebrate it your 80th birthday. 80 years old, Nellie. Come
Right.
on. I'm
That's
looking
right.
at you.
That's right.
What is your secret?
Well,
Come on, girl. Tell me your secret, girl.
Well,
It's-
I don't know. Well, I just say, try to think right, try to keep your mind, in the right place. That's all I can say, and do a few other little things that helps, like eating right, or try to, or something similar.
What has been the biggest lesson for Nellie Lutcher in life? What has?
Well, to do unto others as you would have them do unto me. That's one of my big things that I try to remember and try to practice.
Have you ever turned down?
It hasn't always worked that way,
hasn't?
though.
Have you ever
it
turned
hasn't.
down a club that you didn't want to work sometime, Nellie?
Well, not necessarily, no, not turned it down. Maybe there was some reason why I wouldn't work it. But I didn't work it because of maybe the manager of for some reason, but no. Because I love doing what I do. I enjoy it. And in recent years, of course, I haven't been as active as I was at one time, because the whole trend in music has changed.
It has,
and
hasn't it?
Yeah, oh yes, indeed. There's so many new artists and young artists coming up on the stage, so,
Does Nellie Lutcher believe in fate?
Somewhat, yes.
I see you're spiritual. I'm sitting here talking to you right now. I know you're spiritual, but I have a feeling that you, in your life, and traveling all over the world, you have met all kinds of people.
I have.
What is your greatest achievement? You have a greatest achievement in life?
Well, my greatest achievement was to be recognized.
To be recognized?
Yes. When I made records, and the way I started, in the business,
Right.
as a musician, and I might go back to that and say I had the most wonderful teacher that took interest in me when I first showed interest in the piano, and my parents recognized this, and my mother was especially proud and thrilled because she wanted to play the piano when she was a girl.
Oh.
Well, at that time, people used to marry very, very young. Of course, they're doing it now. Well,
They used to get married at 15, 14,
Well,
13
right on.
in Louisiana and Mississippi and Arkansas, right?
My mother was very, very young when she
Really?
married. And she didn't have a chance, really, to play the piano, but that was her desire, her heart's desire. So when I came along and showed interest, and I was just a toddler, and she said I'd go up to the piano and just every day I would do it, go to the piano and play on the piano, and she was so thrilled.
What's been the hardest for Nellie Lutcher in life?
Well, the hardest thing in life, one of the hardest things, is really to reckon in some instances, of course, like most people, I'm not the only one that has experienced certain things, and like coming along at the time when I came, for instance, from the South.
You grew up with how many in the family?
Well, there were 15.
15 children?
Not 15 living, but my mother was a mother of 15.
15.
So there were about 10 of us living.
Uh-huh.
There are about 6 or 7 of us left now. We just lost a sister this year.
Uh-huh.
And, but the hardest thing was to get to do what you want, the things that you wanted to do, and make money, you know, make it profitable.
Nellie Lutcher, you're still working today, 80 years old.
Yeah.
Listen, you 80 years old, playing the piano, 2 in the morning. Hey,
I'm
look,
grateful.
you drive your own car. I'm looking at you. I'm looking
grateful I'm grateful for it. I have news for you.
Is it all up here in the mine?
Most
now?
of it is in the mine, yes, it is. Because if you sit and feel sorry for yourself when things go bad, you know, when they're all adverse situations, shame on you.
Louis Armstrong, come on, tell me about Louis.
He was so great.
Tell me about Louis.
Oh, he was just wonderful. He was a wonderful artist, wonderful man. When I hear his songs today,
Yes.
I get a lift. I really do.
Does it?
Yes.
Makes you...
I get a lift because he was a man who sang strictly from the heart. Strictly from the heart, and played the trumpet strictly from the heart.
What's your happiest memory, Nellie Lutcher?
Well,
Do you have
I
one?
think, let me say, I'm going back to what I said previously.
Right.
One of my happiest moments was when I got recognition.
Right.
When you have done something and tried to prepare yourself for something, and somebody comes along and recognizes you for what you've done. To me, that's it. That's it. That means that you have reached a certain goal.
Nellie, do you advise young people when you see a pianist or in a bar? Do you give advice sometimes to these young people? Do they ever come up to you, Nellie Lutcher, and say, you know, give me some ideas?
If they do, I'm happy to tell to them.
You do?
I'm very happy, but strangely enough, in this day and time, there are not that many kids seemingly concerned, and particularly with the piano.
Right.
You know, there have been so many different things that come along to look like try to push the piano
Right.
aside, and the piano is really the foundation of all music.
The piano
It
isn't it?
is the foundation music instrument. But if I can help them, if I can encourage them,
Right.
and when they come up and say, you know, I like Elton John,
Right.
when he told me that I was his inspiration, well, that really made me very happy. Made me very happy.
Now, you'll be opening at the Roosevelt Hotel next week.
Tuesday,
Tuesday.
5 days.
5 days.
From the Tuesday through the 10th.
Is it 2 shows, 1 show a night, or what?
Well, it's 1 show Tuesday, 1 show Wednesday, 1 show Thursday, 2 shows Friday.
Nellie Lutcher's playing
2
2
shows
shows Friday and Saturday. I can't believe you.
Yeah, there'll be 2 shows on the weekend
Darn.
and 1 during the week.
What kind of a day do you do, Nellie, when you work at night? Would you sleep all day, rest, or
Well,
what
I
is it?
rest. I have news for you. I get my rest. Now, I do that.
Because you work clubs all your life, traveled all of your life.
Right.
So you do sleep late.
Yes.
See, that's the secret. You take
Well,
naps in the afternoon.
Yeah, but funny, when I'm not working, I don't do that. I'm engaged in other things. It was nothing real spectacular, but I'm just busy doing something, and I'm trying to use my mind all the time. Because there are so many people today that I know, unfortunately, who are not able to say that.
I
And
saw
it's
you
very
working.
sad.
I saw you working. I think in Germany. I can't remember. Was it Germany? You did you never work Germany at the
No.
military shows and bases? Did you ever do
No.
the bases?
No,
Never did the bases.
no.
How come you never did those bases?
Well, at the time.
all the stars used to go to officers, NCO clubs, EM clubs.
Yeah.
They were waiting for you.
Well, I tell you, for instance, here in Los Angeles, I worked on one job for about 3 years. I would get on a job and just stay, you know.
Right, right.
I'd build up a clientele, and that was one thing in my favor when when I became a recording artist, you know. A lot of people remembered that. They remembered me. Like the song you mentioned, Fine Brown Frame,
Fine Brown
was a song that I was doing long before I thought about making a record.
Was that really?
Yeah,
You did it before.
yeah. Oh, yes, I was doing it.
This is one of the songs that the girl says, "Hey, Nellie, sing a song for us." Is this one of the numbers, Nellie?
That's
Is
one
it?
of the songs.
Was it really? And
That's
you
one of the
decided to make
songs.
the record. And
So when I got a chance to record, I wrote, you know, I was writing things
Right.
to record. Now, Real Gone Guy was my second hit
Right.
record, and when that record came out,
Right.
well, I was very surprised, very thrilled
Uh-huh.
to know that I had 2 big records going. And then Fine Brown Frame came out. I recorded that later, and it came out and immediately, before it was even recorded, it was a hit.
Now, you just got an award. Come on, tell me the award you just got for this
And
wonderful...
from the Rhythm and Blues
Rhythm and Blues. Come on, Nellie.
Foundation. This organization is located in Washington, D.C.
Right.
And a very wonderful young woman named Susan Jenkins is the executive producer.
Right.
Not producer, executive, I should say.
Right.
Of this organization. And what they do is they go back in history and they trace your roots and find out where you started, how you started, and what you have done, what you have done and produced, and then they honor you for that.
Right.
You know, after
it's the old pioneers, isn't it?
The
old pioneers.
That's what
right.
it's called. So I was
right.
this year. I happened to have been selected as one of their pioneers.
That's
and
great.
I'm very happy. I was very thrilled over it. And
so that's one of your happiest memories, isn't it?
It was a happy memory because I also got a nice. They gave grants. They give grants.
Yes.
And that's a wonderful thing because there are many people in this business who did not have the good fortune that I had to really, you know, to get to be known and get to get the recognition. They
Nellie
just didn't get it.
Nellie Lutcher, looking back over this wonderful life of yours, sad moments, happy moments, would you do it again the same way?
I wonder. I think I would. I really think I would.
So you're sitting there telling me Nellie Lutcher had a good time, right?
Yeah, well, I'll say I had a happy time. Let's say happy. I said I was happy. In the first place, I had wonderful parents. I had a beautiful mother and father.